Let's see how we can create this application ourselves. Creating a web service is very easy with Microsoft Visual Studio 2005. All you need to do is create a web page, add a few functions, and mark those functions that you wish to expose with special attributes, and make them available through HTTP using XML. That's all it takes to build a web service. Let's try it. Launch Visual Studio 2005. From the File menu, select File, New, Website. After all, a web service is a website. It simply doesn't have a user interface, and instead exposes the logic and the data through a series of services, or web methods. From your templates, select ASP.NET Web Service. You can select the language from the drop-down list. In this walkthrough, I'll be using Microsoft Visual C# to build a web service. Feel free to select the language that you're most comfortable with. Now let's select a location for our file. We'll go ahead and store this file in our Desktop, Part 2, Lesson 1 directory. Instead of Website 1, we'll give it a better name. We'll call it Product Manager. Press Open. It prompts me to create the Product Manager directory. I'll say OK. You will see Visual Studio 2005 has created some files in my Solution Explorer. You'll see the service.asmx file, or ASMX. This is the endpoint URL file for our service. Double-click on it to open it. As you can see, at the top it refers to a web service in the page declaration. It also refers to a code behind file inside the app_code directory. If we open that directory, we'll see the CS file. This represents the C# code behind file for my web service. Double-click on this service.cs file. As you can see, it's a traditional C# file with using references at the top. One of the lines references system.web.services. This namespace is where I'll find the majority of logic to build web services. You'll also see that a sample web method has been added for me. If you look at it, it looks very similar to a traditional method, except that it has a web method tag. This web method tag is called an attribute. Attributes are represented with brackets, and it's used to provide additional information about the class, methods, etc. So in this case, our ASMX file is our front end, and the CS file is glued behind the ASMX file.